Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eric Nyanumba. I'm the moderator, the Justice and Peace Commission, Ruaraka Deanery. So today I want us to discuss about the day that we have today, that is the International Day of Persons with Disability. And this day is usually celebrated on the third day of December every year. So every single year we come together to celebrate this day. And in most cases, when we celebrate this day, it actually acts more of sensitization because people with living with the disabilities are actually some of those people that we find that they are discriminated in the society, and at some point some of them actually they face a lot of stigma in the society, and they are not accorded with the respect that they deserve as a people. So that is why as a community or as a commission, that is the Catholic Justice and Peace Commission, we take this initiative to enlighten our people the need that we have to actually be able to celebrate this day and be able to encourage more members of the society to come forward and defend the people living with disabilities. So the most important part of this discussion is the theme for today. And the theme for this day is leadership and the participation of persons with disabilities towards an inclusive, accessible, and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. So in this case, what we are looking at is as we celebrate this day or as we mark this day, we are looking at how are we including or how are we engaging the people living with a disability in terms of the leadership in various places and also participation at various platforms or various levels of governance. So how are we engaging them? So that we are able to build a sustainable post-COVID world, it is actually important that we are able to remember that these people also play a key role in terms of leading to the sustainability of our nation. And today, it's important to know that the statistics stand at 15% of the world's population live with disability. And this 15% is actually not a number that we can ignore. So if you look at the entire population of the world, which is about 7 billion people, more than 1 million actually are living with disability. And therefore, we need to ensure that as we go about our normal duties, we need to engage these people who are living with disability so that we can be able to build an all-inclusive community or society. So what is the aim of celebrating this day? So one of the aims of celebrating this day is that it aims to promote the rights and well-being of persons living with disabilities. So in all spheres of the society and development, we need to promote their rights. That is the rights of being whatever that they have or whatever the condition that they have. We should all know that they have rights and their rights have to be well taken care of. Number two is to increase awareness of the situation of persons with disabilities. So we need to increase awareness to the society, to our communities about disabilities. As we all say, disability is not inability. Actually, when we find somebody who is disabled, we normally say that these people are not disabled, but they are able differently. And that is why it is very important that we have to increase awareness and increase their participation in political, social, religious activities, economic, and cultural activities. So all these require that we as a society, we are able to engage with other people in the society so that we can be able to stigmatize, because of that stigma that these people feel, or the communities or the families which have such people, you find that they have been hidden in the house, in that they are not able to participate in any activities that lead to the development of our country. And therefore, we as a people, we need to ensure that we include them in all aspects of life. Uh, the other thing that we need to look at is action. Now, once we have known this, what is our action plan? So specifically, you will find that a day like today, we need to talk about these conditions as what I'm doing now, so that we can be able to shape an inclusive future for all people. So, regardless of the physical status of a person, let us all know that these people have rights and we have to protect them as a people. Then, from there, it's also important that we also look at how do we reduce inequalities, which we normally experience, where you find that those people who are physically fit and they're not disabled in any way, they feel like more equal than those who are disabled. So we need to look for a way so that we can be able to reduce any inequality that may arise. And this one is through either technology, through the way we engage in development or in leadership, and all other aspects of life. Also, also need to look at the leadership of new generation, where we need to include our children, the adolescents, and the disabled in the society, so that we can be able to create a voice for everyone, so that we can be able to build a sustainable future. And lastly, we need to look at how we can build an inclusive and accessible post-COVID world, so that we build that inclusive and accessible post-COVID world. We need to engage all people in leadership, including the persons with disabilities. If you look at our country, Kenya, so we are looking at how, to what level are we engaging them? Even at our church, at our local churches, we need to look at when we elect, or when we choose people who become our leaders, what are we considering? Do we reach a point that we are able to even select someone who is disabled to represent us in the council of the church? Yeah, we need to think and talk about such, so that we can be able to build an inclusive society. And lastly, I want to focus on the disability inclusion strategy. And this inclusion strategy is where we have the UN, that is the United Nations, came up with a strategy on how they can be able to include the disabled people or persons in the activities and the leadership of the society. So they came up with an inclusion strategy which provided the foundation for sustainable and transformative progress on disability inclusion through all the pillars of the work of the United Nations. So then, through this strategy, the United Nations system reaffirmed that the full and complete realization of human rights of all persons with disability is an integral and indivisible part of human rights. And therefore, what are we saying? We are saying that for us to safeguard these fundamental freedoms that we have, that is the human rights that we have as a people, we need to ensure that there is inclusion of these people living with a disability in the functioning or in the leadership and all other aspects of life in the society. And lastly, I want us to look at now, as the Justice and Peace Commission, what is our strategy in terms of including the people living with disability? what are we doing? So the CHPC strategy for disability inclusion, in my view, we need to look at how we can be able to ensure that the rights of the disabled people are protected. So as a church, that is in the Catholic Church, or even other churches, we need to ensure that the rights of these people is protected, because that is what we are taught, or that's what we get from the Bible, that we need to ensure that we look at everybody as equal in the eyes of God. And therefore, as Justice and Peace Commission, we are looking forward to ensure that all the rights of disabled people are protected in the society. And also, we endeavor to educate the community on the need to take care of the disabled people like Jesus did. If you remember, in most of the Gospels, you can be able to bear me witness that whenever Jesus came closer to the people who were disabled, he actually healed them. And most of them, he could tell them, just stand up because you have been healed and you can be able to walk. So that is Jesus that we believe in, and that is God that we believe in, because we understand that these people need our mercy. So we are told that Jesus used to look at them and have mercy on them, and he tells them, stand up and go, and your faith has healed you. So let us also imitate what Jesus Christ was doing, walk the same way with Jesus could do, so that we can be able to take care of these people with disabilities. Also, ensure that the disabled are not stigmatized, because, as we say, they are able differently. So let us not stigmatize others on the basis of their disabilities. So we, as the Catholic Justice and Peace Commission, we are in the front line in defending the rights of such people. So we try to look at how we can be able to reduce the stigma or destigmatize these subjects surrounding the disability. So it is important as a church, so that we can be able to ensure that. Then the next one is to include all these people, or the disabled, or their representatives in their day-to-day worship programs. But I believe this one can be done. In most churches, you will find that we are able to include them. But still, we need to do more, so that we can be able to ensure that we include them in our day-to-day programs in the church, especially those who are not able to, maybe, for example, if we have the people who are not able to hear, or the people who are not able to see, let us guide them so that we can be able to have all of them included, and they get equal chances of getting the word of God. If you go to other churches, you will find they have actually included even the sign language, so that we can be able to get the people who are deaf to get the word of God. So I believe that going forward as a church, we need to also look at how many people we can be able to save their souls if we bring disability-friendly features in our churches. How do they access the church? For example, do we have lamps, so that if somebody is disabled and is using a wheelchair, are they able to access the church environment, or the church area? So those are some of the questions that we need to ask ourselves. So we need to champion for such kind of rights, so that we have each and every person getting an opportunity to hear the word of God. Even at the society level, at the places, the social places, let us also try to enlighten the people, so that they can be able to understand the need to put the provisions that will cater for the people who are disabled. So it is also important that if you go to even social places, you are able to get people, the structures that can be able to assist people who are disabled. So this is how we can live as a society in a way that we care for one another. And then the last aspect is giving them an opportunity to be leaders or representation in the local council. So I'm looking at it like in most cases, you will not find the disabled people in most of our local councils. So I'm looking at it like, is it possible that during the judge election, as Justice and Peace Commission, we can be able to maybe try to look at how can our churches start including people who have disabilities, so that they can be able to also have them represent their needs at the local council. For instance, if we have such people in the decision-making organs in our churches, it will be easier for them to be able to pass some recommendations to the church or to the parish priest, so that we can be able to know exactly what they need. Because if we don't have them on board, I can assure you that we may not know exactly what they need. And that's why it's a recommendation that going forward, we may need to start the conversation of seeing that if they cannot be elected through the system that we use to elect our leaders through the church, is it possible that we can be able to create special seats for them, so that they can be able to represent the people with disability at the council? The same case applies to our societies, maybe our local society, or even our political offices. How do we create space for people living with a disability, so that we do not discriminate them, so that we are not accused of neglecting their needs in the society? So let us try as much as possible, so that we can be able to come to the defense of the people living with disabilities. So up to there, that is the end of my presentation, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.